Hi everyone, Chris Petri here again. Guys, thanks for coming by. I wanted to do a quick video on swatches. In my YouTube channel, you notice going back a ways, I think in the beginning, maybe about 8 months ago or so, I did a few videos on swatches. So I'm just going to do another video again on the same idea, the same practice technique that I use quite often to just warm up, and sometimes if I haven't painted in a while I might do some swatches. They're very simple, and I think as a watercolor artist, if you're brand new at it, or even if you've been painting a couple years and you want to better your techniques, I think swatches are a great way to go. You can make them small, medium, large. You can practice them on printer paper. You can practice them on watercolor paper, different styles of watercolor paper, to get used to how different watercolors feel. You can try them with different style brushes if you want to introduce a new brush or two to your collection of brushes when you're painting. You can try them with flat brushes or round brushes or so on and so forth. So swatches are just generally a great way to practice up on your brush skills, as well as getting used to the paint and the water in watercolor. So I'll just do a quick few swatches here. The first thing I usually do is I contour draw a square, like so. I take my time, I leave my hand on the paper at all times, anchor to the paper, and I keep the pencil anchored to the paper as well. And I do a simple square like that. Then I go in and I wet the brush. Then I tap the brush off on, sometimes I use a sponge. I just tap the brush on the sponge a little bit to take some of the excess water off the brush. So if I dip the brush in the water, tap the sponge a little bit to take a little bit of the water off the brush, just a little bit. Then I go into the paint. I'll go into some yellow ochre. I put about that much on the tip of the bristles of the brush, the hairs of the brush. And then I just do different patterns. This one's a Z pattern, quite simple. The letter Z. Then an upstroke to the side. And that's pretty much a quick square, a quick swatch with yellow ochre. And then you can tidy up the corners. So that's a great way to sort of get used to the paint and the brush and the water. Now let's say we're going to do another one without the pencil. We'll just do it with the brush and the paint. I'll go into some cerulean blue. Same idea again. Picking up some blue on the tip of the brush. This time I'm just going to do a simple H pattern. Well, let's do a Z pattern again. Again, I'm going to make the letter Z. Then I go up, across, down, and maybe a couple up and down strokes, and then could tidy up the corners and make a nice square of it, a nice square swatch. You could change the shapes, any shapes you want, round, ovals, squares, rectangles, any shape you can imagine. Sometimes it's good to practice on just simple directional brush strokes. So I'll take some blue here and just do some parallel strokes. Then I'll go back into the paint again, maybe go with a little thicker paint. So you can just have fun. My goal in watercolor painting is to have fun. Just enjoy it. Try different things. That's makes sense, right? As a watercolor artist, it's to your advantage to practice all different types of techniques and get used to your paints, the water, the brushes, your paper. And I think doing swatches and just practicing brush strokes is really a great way to get more familiar with the paints. And let's go into some green here. So we can do some upstrokes now. We did parallel strokes, now we can do upstrokes like this. Again, my hand is always anchored to the paper, resting on the paper, and I work left to right. Usually when I paint, I'm always working left to right, so that my hand is typically on the clean paper, and I'm working across my painting from the left to the right, just similar to writing. So these are upstrokes. And it's a square swatch. We'll do some red now. Then we can practice keeping the brush down and just moving along. Another thing we can practice, which is pretty fun, is joining up two areas slowly and carefully. And then letting the paint mix together. I'll go into some more green again. So there's lots of interesting ways to just mix colors. And then I wanted to just do a quick idea on mixing like greens for trees and bushes and flowers and things like that. Greens are a lot of fun. I use 4 greens on my palette, and those can be mixed. Sap green. The first green was olive green. Then we have some viridian green. Some chromium of oxide. Then I'll take some cadmium lemon yellow. Then I'll go into some cerulean blue. So that can be some fun practice with greens for like bushes and trees and ideas like that, foliage. We're getting into fall now, so during the fall and autumn, we could use reds, and so yellow ochre, raw sienna, some alizarin crimson, some yellows. Next side. Sap green. Some cadmium yellow, light. So that's some interesting, like maybe autumn colors. This would be more of a summer type look with the greens and brighter greens. Now I'm just taking the brush with some water on it, just going across. So that's a little bit of an interesting idea. Do you see how that all mixes together? That looks great. Watercolor is fun that way, adding water to the paper and then just letting some of the paint drift down into that area. Makes some really nice, interesting color changes. Then we could go into some French ultramarine blue, maybe some mineral violet, purpley color. That could be a shadow color under the bushes. A little bit of sky color maybe, some cerulean blue. And I'm just going to leave that edge of white. Since this is the sky, I'm going to try to leave that space there, and then I can always blend that in later if it dries a little bit. If that happens, a little bit of tissue, could blot that out a little bit. Then I could come in 10 minutes later, 10-15 minutes later with a little more water and a little bit more blue and just meet those edges up a little bit when it's drier. Okay guys, I hope you see we have some fun here with some swatches and some greens with some foliage and some autumn foliage here, some different ideas on colors, mixing up, just having fun here, practicing with the brush, the water, the paints, just having fun, getting used to the watercolor medium. Guys, hope you practice these. What do you think? Pretty easy, right? Nothing too sophisticated here, too technical, just having fun with the paints, the water, the paper, the brush. Guys, happy painting, enjoy. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye now.